Today's show is sponsored by the Electric Vehicle Association. Join up to support the electrification of transport today. And by Energy Sage. Plan your energy independence and insulate yourself from rising energy costs today. And by you. Stick around to find out how you can help us remain 100% independent. Welcome back to another episode of TEN, Transport Evolved News. Thanks for joining me. I hope that you are safe, well, and with people you care about who also care about you. We start today's show with the official unveiling of Mercedes-Benz's latest electric car, the next generation Mercedes-Benz GLB. Like the CLA before it, the GLB will be offered as both an all-electric and plug-in hybrid variant, but today we're going to focus on the electric versions. The GLB 250 Plus with EQ technology features an 85 kilowatt-hour battery pack and a 200 kilowatt motor, delivering a claimed WLTP range of up to 631 kilometers, or about 392 miles, in its most efficient form. The GLB 350 4MATIC with EQ technology increases motor power to 260 kilowatts and adds all-wheel drive, although with a slight reduction in range. A key detail here is the rear motor, which uses a 2-speed gearbox for improved efficiency. Pricing will follow, and both 5- and 7-seat versions will be offered. Rivian held its AI and Autonomy Day this week, showcasing its in-house semi-autonomous offerings. Live-streamed on Thursday morning, Rivian confirmed its new Rivian Autonomy processor and third-generation autonomy computer, both built around its own in-house chipset. Heavily reliant on AI, the system is designed to support up to Level 4 autonomous operation in future vehicles. Rivian also unveiled its Rivian Unified Intelligence, a diagnostic and support system intended to help technicians and identify vehicle issues. It also introduced a new assistant that will allow vehicles to understand their owners' driving habits, digital lives, and the world around them. Yeah, I'm not sure I like that bit either. Rivian also announced a subscription service called Autonomy Plus, offering universal hands-free on 3.5 million miles of North American roads, costing $2,500 one-off, or a monthly $49.99 US subscription. For a long time, opponents of electric vehicles have claimed that EVs are dangerous to pedestrians, more dangerous in fact than other types of vehicles, due to their reduced noise. But a new study from the University of Leeds in the UK challenges that claim, concluding that there is no significant difference in pedestrian casualty rates between battery electric and internal combustion engine vehicles. Using public data from 2019 through to 2023, researchers calculated a pedestrian casualty rate of 57.8 per billion miles of driving for EVs, compared with 58.9 for ICE vehicles. The study also found that accident severity was very similar between EVs and ICE, but noted that larger vehicles of any fuel type are far more likely to cause severe injuries in a collision. SUVs, the authors emphasised, are more dangerous than the vehicle's fuel source. In the last few years, we've seen Ford expand relationships with rival firms in Europe, ostensibly to share the costs associated with new EV development. Ford has been working with Volkswagen for some time now, and some of its European EVs are based on the Volkswagen MEB platform. This week, Ford announced a new partnership with the Renault Group, which will see Ford designing 2 new EVs to be built on Renault's Ampere platform, the same platform that underpins cars like the Renault 5 E-Tech and the Renault Twingo E-Tech. Since these vehicles will use an already in-production platform, we're told to expect the first of them on the roads by 2028. It's not clear if this new announcement supersedes Ford's partnership with Volkswagen or supplements it, but it seems likely to be the latter. But just as Ford is expanding EV partnerships in one part of the world, another partnership is coming to an end elsewhere. This week, it emerged that BlueOval SK partnership between Ford and SK On is officially ending, with SK On confirming the agreement is being dissolved and the 3 battery factories built under the partnership will be split between the 2 firms. Ford will assume complete ownership of the 2 facilities in Kentucky, one of which is already producing battery cells, while SK On will take over the BlueOval city vicinity in Tennessee. Interestingly, the news came from SK On, with Ford just simply stating it was, quote, aware of SK's decision and had nothing to share at this time. Ford's electric division, Model E, has yet to turn a profit, and given the current anti-EV policies in the US, this split was widely expected. SK On can now more readily produce cells for other customers, but as this is a developing story, watch this space. Euro NCAP released a new set of crash test ratings this week, and among them were a significant number of all-electric models, including the all-new Kia PV5 cargo van. The Mercedes-Benz CLA was highlighted by the agency for its high scores, with a 95% rating for adult occupant protection and 89% for child occupant protection, earning it 5 stars. Other 5-star recipients included the DePaul S05, Stellantis ET, Geely Stare EMI, Mitsubishi Eclipse Cross, MG EV Urban, and the Kia EV4, although only the EV4 examples fitted with the optional safety pack earned 5 stars. Hyundai's Nexo fuel cell vehicle also received a 5-star rating. Interestingly, the Kia PV5 Passenger, the passenger-carrying variant of the PV5, scored 4 stars, while its cargo-carrying sibling achieved a full 5 stars in Euro NCAP's van testing. When it comes to autonomous vehicles, no company has more years of experience than Waymo. And while some automakers may claim to have more miles on the road, and perhaps do, Waymo is the grandparent of modern self-driving. In the last few months, we've seen Waymo expand its robotaxi service to more cities across the US, which has helped refine the driving style of its fleet on both a global and regional level, since different areas do have different driving norms and styles. But this week, we learned something interesting. Waymo's robotaxis are going to become more aggressive on the road. Previously, the company erred on the side of timidity, which sometimes let other drivers take advantage. Passenger feedback also influenced the change, as riders expect behaviour more like Uber drivers, which includes California stops. Yeah, apparently now they're a thing for Waymo. Since re-entering the White House in January, President Trump has done everything he can to stop Americans, both individuals and companies, from switching to renewables. That does include illegally holding already approved funding for renewable energy and green projects, as well as an announced ban on all new, and in some cases in construction, wind and solar projects. But this week, the Trump administration was dealt a blow by a US DC Circuit judge in the District of Massachusetts, which wrote an executive order for May banning leasing of federal lands and waters to new wind farms is, quote, arbitrary and capricious and contrary to law in their judgment. The ruling came in a case brought by 17 US states and the District of Columbia. Expect the administration to appeal to the Supreme Court of the United States, a court I now call SCROTUS. Watch this space. Sticking with the US federal government's attempts to make the world worse for everyone except the ultra-wealthy, here's a story that snuck past most people quietly a week or so ago, but is now very much in the spotlight. Just after the Thanksgiving holiday, the federal government renamed the National Renewable Energy Laboratory, a government-supported agency that has existed for more than 50 years and has driven phenomenal levels of renewable energy and clean vehicle research and development. In a brief press release, the government said the facility will now be known as the National Laboratory of the Rockies, a name chosen to reflect its, quote, expanding mission. That's a euphemism for focusing on everything but renewables and clean energy, and I and all of you need to weep for the future of renewable energy research in the US. And finally for this segment, an update on the United States government's proposed rollback of corporate average fuel economy standards. The fossil fuel-loving White House is rushing through lower targets for model year 2031, below what automakers actually achieved in the real world last year, and of course, it's doing so because EVs. The proposed rule change came just out right during the holiday period, with the public comment window open only until January 20th next year. This is earlier than the usual 45-day consultation period following a proposed rule. Many see this as a not-so-subtle attempt to push it through while most people are distracted with the holidays, but if you care about cleaner, greener vehicles, now is the time to make your voice heard before that consultation window closes. And if you're in the US and you want to try and offset the stupidity on display regarding the nation's energy policies, maybe you should talk to our friends at EnergySage. EnergySage connects you with local verified solar installers across the US and now heat pump specialists in select markets who really know their stuff and can help guide you through the process of installing solar panels or getting a heat pump installed. Not a homeowner? No worries. EnergySage can still help you green your electricity by helping you join a community solar program. We used EnergySage for ourselves when looking for installers willing to put solar panels on the roof of our home, and their verified, knowledgeable pros were great and even introduced us to a fantastic credit union to allow us to finance the project with low monthly payments. You've pretty much missed the boat now for tax incentives for solar, but here's the thing. Energy costs are rising at a scary rate and are only expected to go up even more as the Trump administration tries to stop renewables. So if you want to generate your own electricity, now is the time. Follow the links below to sign up for EnergySage's free, no-obligation service and get started today. And if you choose an EnergySage installer, we'll also receive a small referral fee, so you'll be helping us out too. Help the grid get greener, save money, gain energy independence and support the show. It's a win-win, win-win. We're off to recall reminders now, and as a reminder, full details are available on our website if these affect you. Rivian is recalling just under 35,000 of its RDVs, that's Rivian delivery vans, to address an issue with a pre-tensioner cable for the driver's seatbelt that may fail due to damage. Volkswagen is recalling its ID.4, as well as some of its other vehicles made on the same production line, to address an issue that led to incorrect wheel bolts being installed during manufacturing. The ID.4 is also in a second recall to address a problem with a limited number of vehicles in which the battery cell electrodes may be misaligned, increasing the risk of short circuit and fire. Owners will be notified. And finally for the recalls, one of the weirdest ones I've ever seen, namely that Cadillac is recalling the Vistiq for not having either a physical or digital owner's manual. Without it, the recall notes, people may not know how to safely operate the vehicle. A software update will cause the manual to download. And those are your recall reminders. Now it's time for our news shorts. As always, full links to the stories are available on our website. There's a link for the relevant post in this episode's description. Porsche is reportedly looking at modifying its 2027 Taycan to include what's being called a virtual transmission. Porsche engineers were rumoured to be impressed with Hyundai's fake gearbox for the Ioniq 5N. A new report from the Solar Energy Industries Association and Wood Mackenzie shows that during the first 3 quarters of this year, 85% of all new US power capacity added to the grid came from solar. 73% of that came from red states. 6 new EU member states, Bulgaria, the Czech Republic, Hungary, Italy, Poland and Slovakia, are joining Germany to call on the European Commission to weaken its planned 2035 ban on ICE vehicle sales. 2 full-size electric mining trucks made by Caterpillar have arrived for duty at BHP's Jimblebar iron ore mine in Australia. They were made possible through a joint partnership with BHP, Rio Tinto and Caterpillar. The City of Los Angeles electrical grid is now officially free from coal-generated power. That's because the Intermountain Power Project in Utah, the last coal plant to supply power to the city, closed before Thanksgiving. After its planned merger with Honda fell through, Nissan is back on the dating scene, looking for an automaker to share long walks on the beach with. But it says it's only interested in full commitment to making EVs together, not just a transactional relationship. Meanwhile, in China, Nissan's Chinese partner Dongfeng, Nissan is poly. Who knew? Very progressive. Is readying a new full-size SUV for launch, the all-electric NX8, based on an 800-volt system. BYD celebrated crossing 113 gigawatt-hours of battery production this week, and is celebrated by announcing a new Zero Defects initiative to ensure minimising battery defects throughout a battery cell's life. VinFast has signed a deal with the region of Tamil in India to begin production of electric scooters and electric buses for the Indian market. It will invest more than $500 million in the facility. Mercedes-Benz and LG Energy Solutions have signed a third battery supply agreement to secure EV battery cells worth 2 trillion South Korean won. It highlights a growing partnership between the firms. Battery startup StoreDot has announced it will be entering onto the stock market via a reverse merger with a special acquisition company, Andretti Acquisition Corp. 2. It will trade on the Nasdaq. Audi's Chinese-only brand, AUDI, has announced its second EV, the AUDI E7X. It will be available in China with a choice of rear-wheel or all-wheel drive configuration with power output of up to 500 kilowatts. And yes, that's the only way I can differentiate the two brands. General Motors' Brazilian arm has begun producing the all-new Chevrolet Spark EUV in the country. The EV is the first of 2 new models to roll off the production line there, designed with the local market in mind. UK telecommunications specialist Openreach, formerly BT Openreach, has just celebrated adding its 6,000th EV to its fleet. It says it hopes to reach 7,000 on fleet by March next year. Mercedes-Benz Trucks has celebrated the start of series production of its new e-Actros 400 range of electric trucks. They will be made at the same facility as the e-Actros 600, which has been in production for several years. UK charging specialist GridServe has just installed its first 400 kilowatt capable EV charging stations at Centurious Park in Bristol. Had I still lived there, it would literally be just down the road from my old house. In its latest analysis of the battery storage and EV battery market, Bloomberg New Energy Finance predicts EV battery prices will continue to fall in the coming year, but slower than previously predicted, mostly because of the US president. Eve Air Mobility has announced it will be working with Beta Technologies as a chosen electric motor supplier for its upcoming eVTOL prototypes and subsequent UAM products. Volvo Trucks has launched a new variant of the FL Electric designed for European towns and cities. Called the Volvo FL Electric 14-ton, it's available in a range of wheelbases and configurations. Xiaomi, buoyed from the success of its first 2 electric cars, is planning 3 new electric models. Of them, one is a brand new vehicle, while the other 2 are going to be based on the SU7 and YU7. Nio's Firefly band is now available in more European markets. This week, it officially delivered its first Firefly EVs to customers in Denmark and Greece, expanding access to the compact city car. In a similar vein, Moke International, a company producing an electric take on the iconic Mini Moke of the 60s and 70s, is now selling its 50 miles per hour Moke to customers in the US. The price? $50,000. Responding to customer complaints about software issues inside the Gravity SUV, Lucid says it's preparing a software fix that will be sent out to affected cars imminently. So watch this space. Stellantis is updating the Opel Astra, or Vauxhall Astra for those of you in the UK. The all-electric variants will get some styling tweaks, increased range, and vehicle-to-load for the first time. QuantumScape has announced that it's reached production readiness for its first pilot production line in San Jose, California. The Eagle line will make QSE 5 cells and allow QuantumScape to showcase its technology. Subaru has announced US pricing for its Uncharted EV and Trailseeker EV. Based on the Solterra, they will retail from just under $35,000 and $40,000 respectively. Mercedes-Benz, working with Momenta, have announced a new robotaxi service in Abu Dhabi. They plan on offering a level 4 service in the region, with other locations to follow suit shortly thereafter. The Norwegian port of Oslo has announced a new incentive program that will offer up to 100% discounts on key fees for zero-emission vessels. Additional discounts will be available for using shore power. The US Postal Service and NASA, both of whom purchased Canoo vehicles before Canoo went bankrupt last year, have discontinued their fleet use of those vehicles, citing problems with maintenance. Researchers at the Advanced Institute of Science and Technology in Korea are now looking into understanding rapid degradation of high-nickel batteries. They hope to develop a longer life, more robust cells. CATL's marine arm, CAEV, has unveiled a new solution for emissions-free shipping and intelligent port management. It focuses on a ship-shore cloud system to manage electric ships, from battery swapping to charging, offloading, and more. China set new EV registration records during November, selling 1.823 million new energy vehicles. However, of that figure, 300,000 were actually exported to other markets around the world. French train company SNCF has partnered with Verta to equip its facilities with more than 5,000 charging points to ensure that it's not just the trains are electric, but the firm's non-rail fleet too. Lexus has held the official world premiere of its latest concept, the Lexus LFA Concept. It's designed to evoke the brand's previous LFA nameplate holders while exploring a striking, high-performance future. Nissan has signed a deal with Waymo to work on future AI driver data assistance systems for future production models. The resulting systems will be integrated into future ProPilot hardware. UK firm Caterham has announced it will make its first functional prototype reveal of the Project V sports car at the Tokyo Auto Salon in January next year. The vehicle will also be present at CES. Ultraviolet has confirmed it will receive more than $45 million in funding as part of its Series E round. The Indian motorcycle firm will use the funding to accelerate production of its F77 and X47. Sibling PACCAR brands Peterbilt and Kenworth have both revealed new electric trucks. At one point, Kenworth focused on hydrogen and Peterbilt EV, but they've since both gone to electric. BMW customers in North America can now use Tesla Superchargers. Officially welcomed to the Supercharging Club this week, BMW owners can now stop and plug in, provided they have an adapter. Reporting from Handelsblatt in Germany suggests that the Volkswagen Group is slashing future funding for its subsidiary battery firm PowerCo. The reason? A slower than expected EV ramp-up. Hyundai is rumoured to be killing its Ioniq 6 EV for the US. Amidst poor sales and anti-EV policy, Jalopnik claims only the Ioniq 6N will survive as the high-performance US market option. Hyundai hasn't confirmed nor refuted reporting. And finally, for the news shorts, Lucid's interim CEO, speaking on Bloomberg TV this week, said he believes the company is on, quote, a good track to hit its lower-end target of building 18,000 EVs this year. We don't have long to find out if it succeeds. And that's it for your news shorts. There will be more next week. Our final two stories are next, but first, a word from you. For over 15 years, 10 in the US, I and the TE team have been bringing you news on cleaner, greener, safer, smarter and more equitable transportation and energy. We're not backed by massive corporations and we don't have massive production budgets. Our tiny team, 3 full-time and 1 part-time member, work hard every week to bring you well-researched, honest content. When we started YouTube, ad revenue paid the bills. These days, like most independent creators, ad revenue has dropped off a cliff. Worse, YouTube often sidelines diverse voices, overlooks minority creators, and prioritises clickbait and AI fluff over real content. Frankly, these days we wouldn't exist without your continued support at patreon.com/transportevolved. And that support is vital. Just this week, on top of the bills I told you about in last week's show, we got invited to film an exclusive video in Southern California that will end up costing us about $1,500 to film, as we will need to drive down and cover hotel costs for 3 team members. Now, we're sharing hotel rooms, but by the time you factor in charging, hotels and food, we're not going to walk away from that with much change from $1,500. And to make that happen, we need your continued support. But I want to be clear here, we do keep a tight rein on our finances. We don't just go spending money willy-nilly, and right now we have a very small buffer. Right now we are treading water rather than growing, which is what we want to do, but costs are going up. So to keep producing videos and to keep this channel alive, we need a boost. Even $1,000 a month increase in income, which is less than 10% of what it costs to run this channel, which itself is about 10% of the budget of much larger channels out there, would make a massive difference to us and let me sleep easier at night. Every single dollar helps. We've added new Patreon tiers for every budget, so if you're already supporting us, thank you. It keeps the show very much alive. And now it's time for those last 2 stories. Stellantis-owned brand Fiat has had quite a mixed history in the US. In recent years, from its Fiat Chrysler's late CEO begging people not to buy its Fiat 500e through to some pretty spotty after-sales support for those who did, Fiat's not really a big brand. And while the Fiat 500e and other smaller Fiats are still sold in Europe, Fiat's very much a forgotten brand here in the US. But straight off the back of the US president saying last week that he wanted Japanese-style K cars to be allowed But in the US, something that's only previously been possible with older vehicles, Fiat's CEO Olivier François announced that he is very heavily invested, and the brand is too, in launching the Fiat Topolino EV in the US. To be clear, this vehicle is very much a low-speed EV. It's built to satisfy European heavy quadricycle rules, so you won't be able to drive them on high-speed roads unless the rules change. But apparently there are, quote, more details to come next year. I guess, as I've already said, this show, we don't have long to wait. And finally, staying in Europe, Stellantis-owned Citroën has brought back the Mia micro minivan from the dead. Well, sort of. You see, while the Mia is, in fact, still very much in the graveyard of EVs from times gone by, do check out Robert's video on it over at Aging Wheels if you don't know what I'm talking about. Citroën has unveiled a concept car called the Elo, whose similarities are striking. And no, I'm not just talking about the three-letter name. Like the Mia, it's diminutive in size and big on practicality, with the driver sitting up front in between the front wheels, enhancing driver visibility. 2 passenger seats just sit behind the driver, one on each side, and there's a rear bench seat for more people carrying. Instead of a single sliding door from the Mia, you get coach doors, and while Citroën is eager to portray this as a concept car that's bold and unique, the history books would disagree. Either way, I think it has legs. I mean, it has wheels. What say you? And on that note, we are done for today's show. But first, a massive thank you to the Electric Vehicle Association for sponsoring today's show. The EVA has been advocating for electric vehicles since 1967 and remains firmly committed to a cleaner, greener future for everyone. Join the EVA today to find out how to become an EV educator, meet like-minded fans, and get help to make your own transition to electric. Help that includes a low-interest loan program to help finance that next step. Find out more at myeva.org. And thanks to Energy Sage. Follow the links below to plan your own energy-independent future before those tax credits vanish. And thanks to you. If you can, please consider supporting us from just $1.50 a month on Patreon. As I mentioned a little earlier, running a small YouTube channel like this isn't cheap, and without your support, we really would not exist. So please do consider supporting us if you're able. And remember that support can also just include sharing our content, joining our Discord chat room, promoting us on social media, or using our affiliate links. All of them are in the down below. And for those looking to make one-off donations, don't forget that we have a PO box and a Ko-fi, both of which are great ways to reach us and make one-off payments. We publish every Tuesday, Thursday and Saturday on the main channel, and every Sunday you'll find 2 videos dropped on Transport Evolved Take 2. And to finish, some very important words. You're valid, you're loved, you belong, and you have a purpose. Yet again, this week has seen more marginalisation, more hate, and more othering of people in our lives and our communities. Straight from the mouth of the US president. More bans, more threatened deportations. And I don't have words for everything. And while the person in charge doesn't already represent a nation or even the majority of people in it, it can be hard to want to carry on carrying on in this environment. But we have to. In order to change history, we need resistance and we need intentionality. So engage in tactical frivolity. Don't surrender to fear, hate, or information that is incorrect. That's as true in Portland, Oregon, as it is anywhere that power and greed seek to crush the will of ordinary people. Don't buy into division and cruelty. Empathy is the skill we must practice daily to preserve our shared humanity. It's just like humour. It's an act of radical resistance. But also, I want you to remember that everyone needs time out. Unplug, get outside, dive into a good book. Go gardening if you're somewhere where it's warm. And make sure that you recharge. Care for yourself and your loved ones so that you can return ready to fight for decency, community, justice, and a better world. Let your light shine in or outside of an inflatable frog costume. Wherever you are, whoever you love, you're not alone. Be an ally, be kind, be the positive change you want to see. Don't let hate or ignorance win. And as always, keep evolving.